This is Basic, the Atari 8-bit podcast.
This is Antic, the Atari 8-bit podcast. I'm Kevin Savitz. This is the sixth in a series of episodes featuring interviews with the kids of Atari's Youth Advisory Board. This time, I got to talk with Yoon Park. In 1983, Atari formed a Youth Advisory Board selecting teenagers from around the United States to share their opinions about computers and video games, test software, and promote Atari's computers at events. The group consisted of kids aged 14 through 18, including Yoon. Before these interviews, I like to read from an old newspaper or magazine article that mentioned or quoted the Youth Advisory Board member to give a sense of who that person was then before we hear from them today. All I can guess about the Yoon of 1982 was that he was shy. Of the 20 Youth Advisory Board members, Yoon was never quoted or mentioned in the articles that I could find. This interview took place on May 17th, 2018.
If I remember correctly, it was my math teacher, Mrs. Frosch, who also taught some of the programming courses, and she nominated me. At the time, I was at Ben Franklin High School in New Orleans, which was, I guess it still is, a magnet school in New Orleans. And so there are a lot of bright kids at the school, and we would get together and play around with the Commodore pets there. I don't know if you remember the Commodores.
Sure.
And then we would help her with the programming classes, and she saw something in me, I guess, and decided to nominate me for this Atari Youth Advisory Board. To be honest, I don't think I was the best programmer, but I guess she saw something there. In fact, I would say probably the better programmer would have been this guy, Carl Williams. And I still remember him because he was good, and he eventually went on to MIT. And I was rejected by MIT.
Oh. So how did you find out that you were had been admitted to the Youth Advisory Board, and what happened?
If I remember correctly, it came as a letter from Atari, and of course a complete surprise. I think the letter also explained that we would be flown to California, which was for a high school student is very exciting, they also, I think, described some of the activities that we would be involved in, and to me that was really exciting. So yeah, it was a very pleasant surprise for me.
Nice. So you took that trip to California? Yes,
yeah, and that was a lot of fun, especially meeting all of the other people. Todd Bridges stands out, of course, but also some of the other people that were part of the Youth Advisory Board. I remember a girl who was a ballerina too, and so I thought that was pretty unique. Oh wow, a ballerina that can actually program. That was an eye-opening thing. Yeah, it was interesting because I had a much smaller group at Ben Franklin High School of people like me, and then I realized, there are a lot more people like me throughout the country. So that was encouraging.
Nice.
Well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're not the only geek in the...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would like to know everything about the trip. What sticks with you as the interesting things that you guys got to do?
I remember interacting with some of the Atari employees, and that was really interesting. They really seemed to listen and to value what we were saying at the time. I can't remember the lady who was our sort of chaperone or our liaison, but she was the one that pulled everybody together and kept in contact with everybody afterwards. Oh gosh, I can't remember her name.
It
but
might have
I
been,
remember,
was it Noreen?
maybe, yeah,
Noreen Lavoie.
yeah, that might be it. But I remember her being very nice, and for some reason, she gave me the nickname Legs. Um, maybe it was because I would walk so fast, or I'm not sure. Yeah. But that's something that stands out to me. Yeah, I remember, the late nights at the hotel, just talking with the other kids. So yeah, those things stick out to me. Just having a good time with the other members of the board. That was fun. Yeah.
Nice. This is random, but they took you to see a movie. Everyone got to go to see some movie in a theater. Do you remember what the movie was?
I do not remember the movie.
Okay, nobody remembers the movie.
Can you fill my memory in?
No one knows the movie. Must have been a terrible movie. Very forgettable.
Okay. The only movie I can remember that far back is the one that my wife and I went on our first date.
Oh.
That was a really bad movie, but we're still married, so that did not seem to affect our courtship.
What was that movie?
K-9.
K-9. I don't think I saw it.
Yeah, it was about a policeman with an unruly police dog. I think John Belushi was the actor, but it was an awful movie. Sounds really awful.
Sounds hilarious.
Yeah.
So, all right, was anything else about the trip to talk about?
Sure. Being very excited about playing with the system that they gave us. What was that?
1200 XL.
Yeah, 1200 XL. Exactly. Yeah. And I certainly remember I think that was one of my motivations for going out and getting the 6502 book. I wish I still had it. It was a green book, I remember, from the manufacturer, and I remember reading that front to back, and somewhat understanding it. 8-bit processors were not that complicated.
Yeah. So were you programming in assembly language? Or?
Yes, I was.
What kind of things did you program?
Oh, just little things like games that I would try to put together. Never really successful. I guess I wasn't creative enough. Math games, things like that. Yeah. But it certainly had a big effect on my life because I'm still in computer science and I'm still in the industry.
Tell me about what you do today.
I'm a researcher at IBM TJ Watson, and my department builds the supercomputers for the Department of Energy laboratories. So we're in the middle of delivering 2 right now, one to the Lawrence Livermore Laboratory and one to the Oak Ridge National Laboratory. And we fully expect that the system being delivered to the Oak Ridge National Laboratory, called Summit, will be the world's fastest supercomputer later this year.
Wow.
Yeah. So a little bit different than the Atari 1200 XL, but principles are all the same.
Sure. So did they like send you home with that computer, or did they ship it to you after the event?
No, I remember it being shipped, if I remember correctly.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and unboxing it was really exciting. I do remember having access to Apple IIe's at the time, so I do remember trying to program on the Apple IIe before I received the 1200 XL. That sticks out in my mind too.
Was that like at school? Did you have a computer at home before?
Yes.
Yeah.
At school. Yeah. At home, what spawned my interest was much earlier. I remember my dad bringing home a programmable HP calculator. I don't know if you remember those things, but you could put in programs and try to stuff as much as you could into 256 instructions or something like that. I guess very similar to your 10-line basic game challenge. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Did you go on any other events with the Atari people? Some people got to go to a Consumer Electronics Show and other things.
No, I don't remember that at all. No. I remember keeping in touch with some people afterwards, and I remember keeping in touch with Atari, but no, I don't remember any follow-on trips.
So you made some friends for a while?
Yeah, we exchanged letters, things like that. Yeah, for a while. Yeah. But I think the distance sort of, things sort of just tailed off after a while. Yeah.
Atari sent some of the board members software to test. Do you remember getting any software to try out?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Some games, to test on the 1200 XL. That I remember. Yeah, and being asked our opinion. Some of them were real stinkers, but some of them were nice.
Yeah. Do you remember anything, good or bad?
Not in particular. I just have vague memories of not being impressed by some, but being impressed by others. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, you're really delving into some old memories here.
What'd your parents think of all this?
Oh, they were proud, I think, that I was part of this, and I think they were really encouraged that I, had was developing a passion for this, and I think they've always done that, whether it's been computers or some other activity. My first year when I was an undergraduate at Cornell, I learned to ski there because there's a ski hill very close by. And I almost ended up failing out of my first year of Cornell, my second semester of Cornell, because I went skiing so much with a ski instructor who was in the dormitory. So my parents weren't too happy about that, but once they realized what a passion it was with me, we actually all went to Vail the next winter. So on the one hand, I think they understood, hey, you want to, make sure that your kids do well, but you also want to encourage their passions. So I'm definitely thankful to them for that, whether it was computers or skiing. So I'm passionate about both.
Nice.
Still.
What do you think that it sounded like this was a good experience for you overall? It was.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was certainly very proud to be part of the Atari Youth Advisory Board. I remember wearing a red jacket that they gave us all over the place. It wasn't a very attractive jacket from what I remember, but but I definitely wore that out and probably wore it inappropriately as well because New Orleans at the time was pretty hot. But yeah, I definitely was proud of wearing that and proud of being part of being proud of that group.
Nice. What did your nerdy friends in New Orleans think of this?
Oh, I think they were very supportive. They also, they wanted to hear about what had happened. They wanted to understand, what would, of course, about the system. They wanted to hear about the other people. They wanted to hear about Todd Bridges, who was also on the board. So they were very happy for me. And yeah, it was great. It was great. I definitely was walking a little taller for several weeks.
Nice. So how did it end? Did it just sort of fizzle out and they stopped sending you stuff or how did it end?
Yeah, that's my memory, that it just sort of fizzled. Yeah, in the end. I don't remember any concluding words. I don't remember any, final meeting or anything like that. I just remember okay, that was interesting, and now we're moving on. Mm-hmm. At least from my perspective.
Sure. So basically, the two things were there was the trip, and then you had the computer, received some software, and that was basically the
and some
summits.
Communications afterwards.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it certainly kept my interest going in computers. And as an undergrad, I took a lot of computer science courses. I graduated with a degree in electrical engineering, but in graduate school at Michigan, I was in computer science.
Cool. Now you get to play with supercomputers.
Yes. Yeah. Well, actually, I'm a manager now, so the playing is not so much anymore.
Oh.
Unfortunately. Oh, no, I shouldn't say that. No, I like being a manager. No,
Way to backpedal there. This interview that's going to be published.
Can we edit that a little bit?
No. All right. So, what haven't I asked you about that time that I should have?
It's mixed up with so many different memories. At the time, Star Wars was coming out. I remember that about that time. You're really impressionable at that age. So I think that I would certainly credit Atari with really stamping a strong impression on me that hey, yeah, this is something that you could do for the rest of your life. And turns out, yes. I mean, I'm still playing with computers, though. So yeah, it's great. Nice. I guess they turned me into a lifelong geek, lifelong nerd. It's funny when my kids were younger, they would tell their friends that I fix computers. Because they would always see me in front of a computer doing something. Right. So they assumed that I was fixing it, or maybe I told them I was fixing it in my simplistic way of trying to explain what I was doing. Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think they really inspired a lifelong passion for computers.
Awesome. I think I have what I need. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, it was a pleasure.
If you enjoy these interviews and would like to contribute, there are two ways you can help. You can help fund these interviews directly by contributing to my Patreon. A small monthly contribution will help offset the expenses of making these oral history interviews. Contribute at patreon.com/savitz. Or make a tax-deductible contribution to the Internet Archive, a nonprofit digital library that has done incredible things to preserve computer history. Make your tax-deductible contribution at archive.org/donate. Thanks.